Hey guys, foxprotomining here, coming at you with a new content video. So today guys, I'm going to very quickly go over RaveOs in an updated fashion, show you some of the new features on the RaveOs, and just how to set it up. We're just going to redo it. So guys, to get started, make sure you have your 8GB USB plugged into your computer and ready to roll. If you're using a smaller drive, it will not work. You will need at least 8GB. If you're doing this through an SSD, you can effectively do the same thing I'm going to show you today. You're just going to use an SSD as opposed to a USB. So we're going to go ahead and get started, guys. Just a reminder, all the links and everything I'm about to show you will be in the description down below. So if you want to follow along through the video, please get those links opened up and you'll be able to come along with me in real time. So first up, guys, RaveOs.com. You're going to come in here. If this is your first time using the OS, you're going to log in and you're going to register. It's going to ask you for an email and password. That is all it will ever ask you for. It's not going to ask you for any pertinent information, no KYC or anything like that. If you want to use an email like a Proton Mail or something like that, you can do that and it'll be perfectly fine. Once you are logged in, the first thing you're going to want to do is, sometimes this menu is collapsed. There's an arrow down here. You can open it up. Come down here and click on download. It's going to ask you if you want to download RaveOs. Click OK, and you'll have a zip folder pop up here, and you got to wait for it to download. While you're waiting for it to download, you need to have a Flash utility program. For the sake of this video, I'm going to be using Balana Etcher. It's a very good, very easy to use Flash utility program. If you're using Windows, you can download it here, or if you're using another OS, click the down arrow here and it will allow you to download that as well. If you do not also have a cryptocurrency wallet, you need to have one of those in order for this to work. The two options I usually recommend are Zelcore, just because it supports a multitude of currencies, and you also have the added feature of it's very easy to shift from device to device. Once you create an account on one device, you can set that up on multiple devices, and it's just pretty easy for most users. It's got a good UI. If you are mostly on your mobile, you can also use Coinomi. It's a very good one that I also use. So once you have your crypto wallet, once you have your Flash utility program, once you have RaveOs downloaded, you need to flash RaveOs to a USB. So if your USB is connected to your computer, you're going to open your Balana Etcher up and you're going to click on Flash from File. Then you're going to select an image of RaveOs that you downloaded, and you're going to open it. It's going to ask you for a target. Now, if your USB is connected, it's going to populate here, and it's going to show you the size of the USB. If you have multiple USBs or drives connected, please be very cautious that you are correctly selecting the drive that you want RaveOs on. Balana will flash whatever drive you select. So it does hide your system drive, and it does not allow you to flash that. Rufus will not be so kind. So if you're using Rufus, be very careful of that. You can accidentally flash RaveOs onto your Windows drive, and then whatever you're doing this on right now is going to be RaveOs. So be cautious. But in this, you're going to want to select the USB drive, click select, and now it'll allow you to flash. Depending on your write speeds, this process is going to take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. Could take a little bit less than that, could take a little bit more, just depends on what hardware you're using at the time. For the sake of the video, guys, I am not going to wait for this to flash. I already have a USB inserted that has the Mining OS on it. So it'll show up in your folder over here as Mining OS. I've noticed a few times it'll pop up and say you need to format this drive before you use it. If you get that pop-up, just close out of it. It's not necessary. And even occasionally I've seen Balana Etcher pop up and say the flash has failed, and it still populates all these files and the OS works just fine. So don't freak out if that happens to you. It might. Also, the default setting for Balana automatically ejects the USB when it's finished flashing. So if it does that to you, you're going to need to pull it out and put it back in for it to show up as your Mining OS. So the only thing you're going to want to do in this, guys, is you're going to come to this config file right here, open it, and then it's going to say token. You're going to open that, and it's going to be blank. mine has a token in it, but yours will be blank. What you need to do here is you're going to come back to RaveOs. You're going to come down to the Workers tab. You're going to click on Add a Worker. If you set up a cluster, those will show here. Otherwise, it'll just say default. It's also going to want you to name it. So you can name it whatever you want. For this, I'll name it Foxy Roadkill. I don't know. Description. So if you guys have this located somewhere specifically that you need to leave yourself a mental note of where it's at, you can do that right there. Password for the rig, I mean, you can put X if you want to, you can put 1 2 3 4 if you want to. Really, I mean, the level of security you want here is completely up to you. I'll just put 5555. It's also going to ask you the number of cards you're intending on running on this rig. Now, this number is not important. You can leave this on whatever, and you can still run however many cards you want. The reason this is important, though, is because let's say that you want to set this rig up with 6 cards on it. And let's say you boot it up and only 5 cards post. So RaveOs will actually let you know, even though RaveOs is only detecting 5 cards, that you have a card that's not posting. So if it reboots or does something and you lose a card, this is kind of nice because it'll show you right there in the dashboard, hey, something's wrong, you need to check on your rig. So we're just going to go ahead and save that. And it'll instantly take you to your Foxy Roadkill, or whatever you named your worker. Obviously, no hardware is going to be shown. It's just going to say unknown card not detected by the system because you haven't booted this up yet. You're going to want to go to System Info, and you're going to want to copy your worker token. Once you do that, you go back to your notepad and you paste. And you want to save this. And you want to save it again. Because if you do not save this and you try to fire up your RaveOs, this is like the telephone number to your rig. So the dashboard cannot call your rig and talk to it if it doesn't have this token. So if you don't save this and you boot it up, it's going to frustrate you to no end because you're going to be like, why aren't you working? When all it is the token is not in there. Once you have that done, you're just going to come back, click on your Mining OS again so it comes back to the main menu. You're going to click on Eject, and now you can safely put it into your rig. Also, before your initial boot, it's sometimes helpful to come to this Settings tab and get this set up before you start your rig. This is some useful features I'm going to cover really quick. So auto fan sets your fans to automatic, so once you set a target temperature, your fans will automatically adjust speed to keep your card at that temp. Auto reboot, I always recommend turning that on because 9 times out of 10, if your rig encounters a problem, a simple reboot will fix it, which means your OS will say, uh-oh, I've had a problem. It will automatically reboot and try to attempt to solve the problem, which means this is really nice because, like I said, 9 times out of 10, you won't have to do anything. Your rig will fix itself. Also, maximum temperature value. I set this at 80°C. This is just to keep, in the event of an emergency, your cards from going over 80°C. This will not keep your cards at 80°C. This is just if a fan fails or a card's thermal paste goes bad or worst case scenario kind of stuff. If any of your cards report 80°C temps, this is the core, not the memory temps, it will reboot the rig and keep your card from exceeding 80°C. If you have a stability issue with a card, that's where this comes in. This is called minimum hash rate. So you can set a minimum hash rate a little bit below what your rig is supposed to be doing. And that way, if you have a card that hangs or a card that stops posting, it will reboot the rig and potentially bring that card back online, and it'll again keep you from having to intervene. Now, if that's happening, you probably have a whole nother issue you need to address, but if you're on vacation or something, or you're not able to access your rig, this is a short-term solution that will keep your rig going. Now guys, once you have all that done, you need to get your USB plugged into your rig and fire your rig up. Your initial boot is probably going to take about 5 minutes, just because it's configuring all the settings and just doing its first time installation. and it's on a USB. USBs are a little bit slower than SSDs. If you're on an SSD, it's probably going to be much faster than that. But once it posts, guys, it's going to show up in your dashboard here, and it's going to say something like this. It's going to say System Wallet. Now, once it posts, you're golden. Your cards are now online. You're ready to start mining. But before you can mine, you need to come over to your Wallets tab, and you're going to need to create a wallet. So you're going to click on this Add Wallet feature. Name it whatever you want. Ideally, you should probably name it after what coin you're going to mine. So we can put Raven coin on here, for example. Add Wallet. And it's going to ask you to select the coin. You can just type in Raven, and it'll pop up Raven coin, Raven coin. Now it's going to ask you for your pool. Just a reminder, 2Miners pools are always free with RaveOs. They have a partnership, so if you want to not have to pay your RaveOs fees, you can come into 2Miners and you can do that. Or if you want to spread the hash rate out to other pools, you can do so here as well. I'm just going to select 2Miners for the heck of it. It's going to ask you which stratum you want. So you pick the one closest to you, US, Asia, Europe, whatever that happens to be. Wallet address. Okay, I need a Raven coin wallet. So whatever wallet address you would use, you can pump in there. If I come on to my Zelcore here, I can manage my assets. I can go down to coins, and I can add my Raven coin wallet. And then go back, show zero balance, Raven coin. Receive, copy the address, boom. Now, mining software. This is completely up to you, but my only recommendation here is while you're in here picking these, pick a few. Make sure you have a few selected, because if for any reason you run into a compatibility issue or a mining software that gets stuck in a reboot cycle, any number of things, it's really nice to have another miner assigned. That way you can switch miners on the fly. So this is effectively like a flight sheet, kinda, except you can change these miners in real time while you're mining. You can hit save. Now you'll go back to your dashboard. You can click on the rig that you set up. Now this is a perfect example. If I go back to the dashboard here, you can see these orange marks. This is, rolling back a little bit, how I said if you select 6 cards and only X number of cards were to post, that it's going to show up like that. So if I go into this rig and let's start mining, so I'm going to keep it on, I'm just going to put it on Callisto here, apply to all. Now if I go back to the dashboard, my card is now blue, and it is now showing up. So you can see my RX 480s there. It's showing blue with a temperature and fan speed percentage. And this is what it should show for you. And eventually it is going to download that mining software in notifications. Mining are downloading. This one's now started. And eventually it's going to pop up and it's going to show a hash rate. You also have tools over here to reboot your rig, shut it down, pause mining. You can log remotely into your rig through the console. You can also view the logs in real time. You can select the miner, the application log, or the system log, and this will show you everything that's going on. Obviously the pool that I selected no longer exists, so it's telling me that that pool no longer exists. So this card is not going to start mining because I have a bad stratum connected. But that's kind of cool that it'll pop up and show you those errors. So guys, that is how to actually set up your worker. You can set overclock profile, so if you're going to be setting up a lot of RX 470s, for example, and you know they're all going to use the same overclock settings, you can come in here and click Add Profile and set that up so that you can automatically apply those settings. Oops, dashboard, they're bouncing around on me, your rig. So if you want to tune a specific card, all you have to do is log into your dashboard rig, click on Tuning, and you can go through here and adjust all these settings. They look a little bit different for NVIDIA cards because the settings are done a little bit different, but the general gist is going to be the same here. It's going to ask you for your core clock, your memory clock, and on AMD it's going to ask you for your millivolt voltage. On NVIDIA it's just going to ask you for a power limit setting. You can also set target temperatures, And if you don't want automatic fans, you can specify a fan percentage in here as well. And that will take you through your worker. Finance, guys, is just the tab you're going to use to fund your account. So if you want to add credit, you can come in here and do that, a custom amount or this. If you choose and continue, Crypto.com is partnered with RaveOs now, so you can fund directly from Crypto.com. You can pay with any cryptocurrency that's supported by their coin payments, which is pretty much just the big ones: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, etc. Stripe, if you want to pay with your fiat, your dirty fiat, you can. However, they warn you that's going to charge you a 2.9% fee plus 30 cents. So if you want to save a little bit of money, you can use your crypto to fund your, and this is pretty much the only way it would be KYC, is if you fund it with your debit card, because then they're going to know your debit card information. So if you want to stay non-KYC on RaveOs, you can just use crypto. They also have a referral program, guys, which, this is full disclosure, I'm going to have my referral link down below, so you'll help me out if you get in here and fund your account via this. But also, you will receive 100% of your referees' payments every time somebody tops up their account. Yeah, so you have that as well. Also, if you are paying, it'll show you exactly how much you're paying every day through the tariff plan, and it'll also show you here while you're spending. Something kind of cool they added is pool stats. So if you add a wallet from a supported pool, it will actually, without having to go to your pool dashboard, it'll show you your unpaid balance, your paid balance, and your hash rate information, which is kind of cool. I don't use this feature a whole lot because it's a little buggy depending on the pool you're using, but it's there for the people who'd want to use it. It is fully compatible with 2Miners pools, so if you're mining on 2Miners, you'll be able to see all your information right here in RaveOs. History just shows you things that you've been doing in here. You know, 'tis what it is. Then you have your reporting here. Reporting keeps track of energy, hash rates, things like that. Just a few things to know, guys. The reporting to the OS for electric is never 100% accurate, so don't trust the energy reporting that you see in here and expect that to be your final bill, because more often than not, that is not the case. There is a custom mining tab, and that is to add new tokens, add pools, and add a miner. I am not going to cover that specifically in this video because that is a little bit more complicated to do. I am going to create a new updated video for that as well, but again, guys, I'm not going to cover that in this video. But in a nutshell, guys, I think I've covered just about everything that you need to see on here. You know, you have an action tab. You can select rigs in here, and you can turn them off, reboot them. So if you're having, or if you want to change over multiple rigs at once to a different wallet, you can do that. You can even set and unset the overclock settings from this. So you have like 2 layers on the dashboard. You have the overview, and then you have the actual rig dashboard itself. And the clusters features is just kind of nice to organize things. So, you know, if you're mining, like this is a setup that I have, if you're mining Beam, Ethereum, and Flux, you can actually divvy up those rigs into each category. That way you'll know exactly which rigs are doing what. It's kind of cool to do that. I usually also have like, this is default, but I also keep like an unallocated bin. That way if I have a test bench or something like that, when it pops up, I don't have trouble finding it, because you do get to assign different clusters as you go. I think that's it, guys. I mean, everything else is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, you've got your user settings up here for your account. This is just on the fly, how many coins you're mining, ASICs that you're set up, workers for GPUs, how many GPUs it says you have, how many you're actually running. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I like RaveOs just because of the fact that it's streamlined. HiveOS is very busy to me. I'll use that word, busy. Because there's so much going on, you can get lost really easily, and it's pretty confusing. This is just more streamlined, more basic, and it still supports a lot of the features that Hive has. So, but this is the nutshell, guys. I'm going to cut this video off right now. If you have any questions, comments, things that you want to see added to this video, hit me up in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to deal with all your concerns, guys. But that's it for me. This is Fox Protocol Mining. I'm going to get out of here.